people arrive late or if they, are busy tonight, which we completely understand. So we will begin. I'm Megan Lafayette. I'm the principal. With us tonight, we have Joanne Masterson, who is one of our assistant principals, and also the two senior class advisors, Sarah Cormier and Sarah Doyle. And so we really thank you for joining us tonight. We felt it was really important to talk with you tonight and just let you know what we're thinking as far as senior events go. We learned from last year that even when we don't know exactly what's going to happen, it's better to communicate and talk to our families and let them know what we're thinking, just so that you know that we are thinking about our seniors. We're thinking about how to celebrate our seniors during this difficult time. And we're really trying to put plans together so that our kids can have memories of this senior year that are happy memories and opportunities for them to be together in a safe way. So we want to go through with you tonight what we're thinking. The senior advisors will talk about sort of plan A and plan B. We met with all of the seniors this week. So we met with cohort A earlier in the week and then cohort B today. And then we live streamed our meetings for all of the students at home. So the students have already seen this presentation. So maybe they came home and talked to you about it, or maybe they didn't. But we wanted you to have the same information that your students had. And we'll talk about the different plans. And then we just ask for you to realize, and I know you know this, that these things could change. Even today, the governor made a new announcement about restaurants and things like that. So we will always follow the government's guidelines, and that will drive what we're able to do for the students. At the same time, like I had said, providing them with a safe opportunity to have some of these senior year memories. So let me share my screen and get the presentation up. Throughout the presentation, if you have questions, if you could type them in the chat, that would be great. We can try to answer as many questions as possible, but I'll also save the chat so that anything we can't answer tonight, we can get out to parents in a Google form. All right, give me a second to share my screen. All right, you should all see this screen. I'm going to turn it over to the two advisors to take over from here and talk about some of the things that they've been planning really since the beginning of the school year. So since September, some of the things they've been working on.
Great. Thank you, Mrs. Lafayette.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us.
It's so nice to see so many familiar faces and names with us tonight. So we are so excited that we can actually put together a plan for the seniors this year. And we were so excited to be able to share this with them today and on Tuesday. Like Mrs. Lafayette said, we do have kind of a plan A and a plan B, and Mrs. Doyle and I have been working really hard to put stuff together so that the kids can have some fun memories of their senior year.
Yes, we have a traditional plan that we typically follow from year to year for senior events and activities. And that was always our plan A. We've actually been starting to coordinate these plans in 2019. We booked our prom facility even as far back as then. And so we've kind of worked here with this plan A, and over the last several months have been tweaking it here and there. This plan would be the plan if gathering restrictions were lifted on indoor functions. And at this point, even with some of the changes the governor announced today, this would still be the less likely plan just because we have so many seniors that we need to accommodate, that this plan, is less likely with each week that is going on. But we wanted to show that we still have our prom booked at Tiffany Ballroom. It's still on the table right now. That would be an extra cost in addition to other senior activities that are covered by dues, which we'll discuss a little more in depth in this presentation as well. We have our final day of school for seniors, which will always be May 21st. It's a Friday. We have some traditions that we typically follow for that last day of school where they come in for breakfast and do a senior walk, and we want to maintain that tradition. We normally would have a senior class trip to High Meadows in Connecticut, but with everything happening this year, we had to pull that off the table pretty early. So in lieu of that, we wanted to coordinate a senior barbecue / field day. We are still working to kind of coordinate that and figure out dates. And we wanted to add a little something special this year for the kids and came up with an idea for a senior sunrise, which would be an opportunity for them to get up early and watch the sunrise on the football field. And we'd be able to provide some activities then as well. We are coordinating the senior car parade similar to last year. We're hoping to have it on a weekend this year. We do need to confirm the date with the town, but we are looking right now at May 22nd. And we have graduation activities beginning in June. So June 1st and 2nd will be graduation rehearsals in the morning for students. June 2nd, we're looking at awards night, which would be virtual for this year. We have already booked our senior banquet at Primavera and Millis for June 3rd, but again, their facility at this time wouldn't be accessible with the numbers that we're looking at. And June 4th is the scheduled graduation date. It will be outdoors. If it looks like it will be inclement weather and we cannot hold it that evening, we have a rain date scheduled for June 5th.
Yes, so that was our plan A. That is the more traditional route. The kind of out of the box, throwing something together that will be really fun and not traditional is our plan B. So this is if the restrictions that are in place now remain in place and we can't have indoor activities with as many students as we would like. So with this plan, May 21st is still going to be the seniors' last day, but if we go with plan B, we'll do the senior sunrise that morning on the football field. We'll have breakfast. We'll do, commemorative t-shirts for them. And then they'll be able to come back into the building and do their senior walk. And then the following day, that Saturday, we're hoping again to have the senior car parade. Graduation rehearsals will happen no matter what. And again, virtual awards night will be that date. That date is subject to change right now, but that's what we're working with right now. And then again, the senior barbecue field day, we had students asking, what that would be. So we want to, have a lunch outside, probably picnic style, and having activities, some games, maybe some lawn games, and some maybe like tie-dyeing. Some of the class officers had thought that would be fun. So putting together a little field day for them. And then the biggest change would be combining senior prom and banquet, which is what we're kind of calling the senior gala. And it would be an opportunity for the students to dress up and have a sit-down meal. We would have it catered. We would have this at the high school. We will rent tents and tables and chairs and deck it out so that it is as special as possible. And we would have that at the high school. And that you'll see on the next slide, but because we would be doing that at the school, it would not be an additional price on top of dues like prom would be. And then again, June 4th, graduation date, and the rain date is the following day, June 5th.
I just wanted to jump in and talk about the senior gala. So I just really love this idea. I think all of us are probably we really recognize that these students didn't get a prom last year. So last year's seniors, at least they had their junior prom if they attended. These seniors missed out on junior prom. So we really want to replicate that experience as much as possible. We want them to have that moment where they take pictures at the town common and they're all dressed up. So we want to really be able to provide that for them, because I think, I don't know, we all look back on our high school career, and whether you went to prom or you didn't go to prom, at least it was an option. So that was something, and I love the idea of the gala because it just has that formal feel to it. And so even though it's not traditional, it still is as close as we can get in that time. So I really think that that's a great idea that our advisors have worked with the students with.
Yeah. And additionally, having it be the gala, we are going to include aspects that would be typically happening at banquet and typically happening at prom. So we'll still have a prom court, but also the things that happen at banquet, like the raffle, we'll do that night as well. So we'll be able to fill the time with those traditional pieces, but having them combined.
All right. And I know for the past several years, you have heard us asking you to send in dues for your students. All of the dues go towards these senior events. So we've been asking students to pay $50 a year since freshman year, culminating in a total of $200. And typically those $200 cover our main events of graduation, the class trip, the banquet, and they also do cover half of the cost of yearbook. Um, they do not traditionally cover the prom cost. Usually the cost of prom is an additional ticket price. This year, if prom were to be held at Tiffany Ballroom, we're looking at a little bit of a higher price at $85 per ticket because it would not be a junior senior prom. It would be seniors only. And I know that can be a little bit more of a cost than our seniors are really prepared for this year. Um, so what we've done is we've said if students have paid all of their $200 dues so far, they are all set. They've paid for graduation, they've paid to attend the barbecue and the gala, and half their yearbook cost is paid as well. So they are all set. But we do understand that there are some students that didn't pay over the last 4 years and are now finding themselves in a position where they can't afford the full 200 also. So we are going to allow for this 1 year an a la carte option where they could choose which activities they wish to partake in and can pay for those individual activities. So this price breakdown here is a general breakdown. It is subject to a little bit of change as we get a better sense of which activities we'll be able to do, which we hope to know more in a month. But graduation costs are about $35, so that graduation cost covers their cap and gowns and other graduation expenses. We're looking at $40 to cover the barbecue field day, so paying for things that we'll be using at that event and paying for food. $85 for the prom banquet. We're going to be renting the tents, so that's probably going to be the biggest expense is the rentals. And $40 from dues goes towards yearbook. You do have to order the yearbook separately through Walsworth. I believe there is a slide here that has a little bit more yearbook information. If you've ordered the yearbook and you've put in the code seniors only, because online it will say $80. If you put in the code, it drops it to 40 because the other 40 is coming from the dues. So this is kind of what we're looking at for price point right now. And as we've reminded the students, it's really important that they pay their dues because it's individual costs. We don't really have any backup funds to pay for students. They each pay their own way. So if there is an absolute hardship and they really can't afford like the graduation costs, we do want to make sure they have the ability to get their cap and gown. So they do need to speak to us about that, and we can see if there's a way we can find some extra funding for that. But if they want to attend the barbecue, the prom, get the yearbook, they really need to come up with the funds for themselves.
So as everything the past year, we've found that we need to have additional safety precautions. So moving forward with either plan A or B, these COVID precautions will need to continue. So the students will be asked to pre-register for the events so that we have a clear number of students that will be attending so that we can make sure that we're within the state guidelines. We will ask the seniors to create their own pods, much like in normal years with prom where they choose who they're sitting with at the table. We are asking that they form a group of about 6 to 8 students that these will be the people that they are able to eat with. So at the gala, they can sit with this group and eat. When they're at senior sunrise, they'll sit with that group when they eat, and at the barbecue, they'll sit with that group while they eat. We just need to maintain these groupings when their masks will be off for contact tracing purposes. But other than the times when they're eating, masks will be required for the entire time at all events. We will be doing all of the social distancing to the best of our ability. Right now, no dancing will be allowed unless the regulations change, just because of the amount of breath and faces close to each other. We can't have that. And hand sanitizer stations will be at each event. So we are going to be doing our very best to keep all of our events as safe as possible.
And we did want to note too that if there is any student who is uncomfortable with eating around other students, and would like additional precautions, have them speak to us. We will make accommodations to ensure that everybody feels comfortable and safe and can enjoy these events.
Yeah, so if they don't want to sit with, 5 or 6 other people, we can see if we can form a smaller pod.
I did see it looks like I'm seeing a question about allowing for outside guests, and that is a no. We are going to have these events just for these seniors. Unfortunately, with the restrictions on gatherings, we can't invite outside guests. We can't even invite underclassmen. So this is seniors only. We are hoping that we will have the ability to accommodate all 150 of our graduates.
So far we have caps and gowns. They are at the high school and ready to go when the time comes. And the diploma names have been submitted. So those are all good things. And it's we were saying to the students today, it's crazy. It's going to come up real fast. March is just next week. And it's going to be really, really, really fast before we'll be there before we know it. Also, OpGrad is planning some things. The students were very curious about that. And I think that something went out on the class of 2021 Facebook page earlier. There will be an OpGrad meeting next week.
Next Monday evening. So that is on the class of 2021 Facebook page. And they are doing such a wonderful job of trying to pull this together, and definitely need as much help from other parents as they can get.
Absolutely.
And I think as far as OpGrad, so we were able to meet with 2 of the OpGrad leaders this week. I think that our hope is that we won't necessarily be able to have a traditional OpGrad as is in years past, but we're hoping to have more than was offered to the students last year. So I think we're going to fall in that happy medium place there. So please look for those, for that information. And I think that we can do something really exciting for the seniors. And I do believe it tends to be a secret. So we try not to share with the seniors what all the exciting plans are. But after talking this week, we're really excited about OpGrad. And I think something really wonderful will be planned for the students.
Yep.
All right. This is yearbook information that has been sent out probably a few times. But this one will be important for you to read when I email it to you because it has all of those dates. So if we have photos, the yearbook students and the advisor are working on finishing up these pages. So as you may or may not know, in the yearbook process, you have to do the pages, submit them to the company, and it all happens pretty early so that they can print the yearbooks and get them back to us. So there's some deadlines coming up really quick. So I'll make sure that this PowerPoint gets sent out to everybody today. And the next slide is more yearbook information. And it's the yearbook ordering. So somebody had asked me, is that Walsworth Company really the yearbook company, or is this spam? So that really is the yearbook company. So you want to make sure when you see those emails, you click on the link and do the ordering through there. And personalized messages are still being accepted. I think some of our seniors aren't as excited about the yearbooks as they have been in years past, but we know from being out of high school for so long that it's kind of fun to look back on your senior year. And I think for these students in particular, it's been a wild year. It's not fun for them right now, but 10 years from now, when they look back, they'll have these memories of what they experienced in this time. I wanted to also just talk a little bit about school counseling information. So just a reminder, if your child needs any help or guidance with the college application process or post-secondary planning, the school counselors are available. If any students had been working with Mr. Devlin, he's out right now, but Dr. Traponi is working with his students, or at least can help guide which counselor will be working with the seniors that were typically on his caseload. Important things for you to know that maybe your students haven't told you is we have a Google Classroom for all scholarship information, and every senior has been invited to join that Google Classroom. It's just for the seniors, so parents can't get on it, but all students can. They've all been invited. And that's also where they're going to get the information for local scholarships that will be coming out, usually comes out right before April vacation. So you want to encourage your student to join that Google Classroom. I looked today, I think there were 121 seniors in the Google Classroom, but we have 154, so there's a couple missing. So please make sure that they're part of this Google Classroom and that they're checking it. New scholarships are added at least weekly. So this is just a little screenshot of some of the things that are on there right now. So that's important. And then also, Mrs. Doyle has created a website just for the class of 2021 with a ton of information. So I don't know if you want to speak to that, Mrs. Doyle.
Yes, so in a typical year, it would be so much easier to communicate directly with students at lunches and in assemblies. But this year, we've definitely seen that it's difficult for some students to stay on top of the information that's getting sent out via email and on the Google Classroom. We spoke to the students and we've encouraged them to check their emails daily and also to check the Google Classroom regularly. We have a Google Classroom for the class of 2021. The majority of them have been on it for several years. And we're putting all of the information on there as it comes. But as we get closer to graduation, there's going to be a lot more information to put out there. And we wanted to also have a more public way to access that information. So I have put together a website, and it's just going to have, basic information about the events, about dues payments, about graduation information. I will also post this link to the class of 2021 Facebook page. So that way it's one spot to get all that information.
Great. All right, that takes us to the end of our presentation. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can look in the chat and see what questions are there.
So there are a few questions about the yearbook, and I'm going to put Melissa Newman's email address in the chat. She is the yearbook advisor, and if you have specific yearbook questions, she'll be the one to ask. She knows, she is like lady yearbook.
Perfect. All right, so I'm looking in the chat. The first question I'm seeing is about parents organizing gatherings for students. So I'm not sure that I can answer that question directly at this moment, because a lot of the gathering is really, it's not a school policy thing, it's a Board of Health. It's a Board of Health and government regulation thing. So that would be something that that we would have to make sure, we could definitely publish the guidelines to people and let everyone know what the gathering rules are. But as far as getting punished, I mean, I know that there have been instances where students had to quarantine as a result of some things that happened outside of school, but that's not a school punishment. That's a Board of Health guideline around quarantining. But we could
add a little bit to that as well. I know it's a tradition in this town for students to gather right before prom at the town common for pictures. The yearbook staff are planning on being there for that too. And I think if that's, I don't think that's considered a gathering there, but if groups are going there for pictures, I think if there was a question about that, that would be, I think, kind of a pre-prom gathering that is happening.
All right, I'm gonna go back up to my question. Sorry, I have to scroll. All right, we already answered the question about no dates. Unfortunately, due to the gathering size, we really can only accommodate the size of the senior class. And we told the students that as well. So they were no, yeah, it's sad. I do understand that. Let's see, yearbook discount. So that's the yearbook question. Contact person is, so what I will do also is I will save this chat. So anyone who has a specific yearbook question, I can give those names to Mrs. Newman. All right, so Google Classroom for scholarship. So because the way Google Classroom works, people outside of the Bellingham domain cannot get access to that Google Classroom. So you will have to work with your student and say, hey, I need you to log on to that Google Classroom. Let's look at it together. So that's how you would access that. You'd have to work with your child on that. All right, there we go. Okay, outside friends at the common, that would be a question we would have to ask the Board of Health, to be honest, so we don't have that answer tonight. That would be a decision for the Board of Health. Is there a way to donate towards seniors that may not be able to participate? That is a great idea. Yes, so I think that we could work with the advisors to come up with a little a fund for that. There are times in the past too where teachers have also donated. So if we knew that there would be a collection, I'm sure our teachers and then families could donate as well. I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Did I miss any questions? Feel free to type them back in the chat if I missed it. I think we're okay. All right.
There were just two things that I wanted to say before yes, we are going to send out the slides.
Mhm.
So we put up 2 different Google Forms on our class Google Classroom, the class of 2021 Google Classroom, that the students, we're asking the students to fill out. One is for them to pick their class song and their class motto. And then the other is to just gauge interest in the senior events. We've had really good response so far. A ton of kids have filled it out, but if you could just double check with your students that they've filled that out. We're asking them to have that filled out by March 3rd, just so that we can have an idea of the interest. And also we need to start figuring out with the class song and motto, if we want to put the motto on a t-shirt or something. We need to have that voted on by the 3rd. And then the other point that I wanted to make was for class dues, if you are not sure how much you and your student have paid towards their class dues, Mrs. Doyle is awesome and went onto our Google Classroom and made an assignment on there for every single student in our class, and she has it graded from 0 to 200. And if the student has paid their class dues, it is in there, whether they've paid 50 or they've paid the whole 200, it is in there as their grade. And as we get class dues in, like I got a check today from a student, I changed his grade for that to reflect that he had paid some class dues. So if you are not sure how much they've paid, that it would be the most accurate place to look. So you can ask your student to go into the class of 2021 Google Classroom and check that, and you can see. If you have further questions about that, feel free to email either myself or Mrs. Doyle. Okay, there's a couple more questions in the chat now.
I saw one. One question was about why can't they dance if they have masks on? So that's actually in the government regulation that dance floors are closed. So they are just like one of the regulations is we can't sing inside the school building. Same type of thing. So it's a safety measure. Let's see, when will the actual diplomas arrive in their hands? That we don't have an answer to yet. Last year, we had mailed the diplomas to the students. We haven't decided if that's what we'll do this year or not, but that's a great question. Will the seniors be able to walk through the elementary and middle schools? No, unfortunately, we can't do that. Again, just having, the next question is how many kids are in the graduating class? 154 is the number that sticks in my brain. Does that sound right?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I believe it's 154, but we can't have 154 students walk through and see the elementary kids. It's just too much mixing, and just in case somebody were to have
You can do
something.
the busing right now with that situation.
Yeah.
But in lieu of that, we are doing the senior car parade. So if there are teachers from elementary schools or the middle school that would like to line the streets that day, that would be a good opportunity for the kids to see those past teachers.
Yeah. Let's see. When will the checks be deposited? They're usually deposited. Let Sarah Doyle answer that. She handles that.
So we wait until we have a significant amount of checks to deposit at a single time. We have to take these checks and submit them through the business office, and they don't typically accept one check at a time. So what I'll usually do is every few weeks, I'll put a batch together and then put it through for deposit. So depending on what time it gets into my hands, and then I hold the batch together until a deposit. It could be several weeks, up to maybe 6 weeks before they actually get put through deposit, because they have to travel from our end to the business office and then get deposited from there.
So last year we were able to accommodate everyone that was interested in the car parade. So that was okay. Again, we'll work with the town and figure that out, but we would request that everybody who was interested, every senior that was interested would participate.
Do
Last
you mean, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you mean how many individuals can be in one car at a time?
Yes.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I feel like that might be
Board of Health.
Yeah, we'll ask the Board of Health. Last year, I
Yeah.
think as long as last year we definitely had a rule about that. We had, because I know 2 students could be together, but they needed masks on unless they were siblings. And then it could be more than 2. But we'll check with the Board of Health on that as well. All right. Well, I thank you all for joining us tonight. We will get the information out to you as soon as things firm up. Always keeping in mind that things can change, but we want you to know everything that we know so that you can plan accordingly and support your students. And we're also here to support your students as well. Excellent. Good. Off grad on Monday. Yep. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. Good to see you all, and we'll talk soon.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.